The most mysterious queen of history, Bilqis, is also mentioned in the Quran. She was the wife of Hazrat Sulayman Alaihissalam. Bilqis's kingdom was spread from South Arabia to Africa. There are some things about her that seem unbelievable. Some people believe that she was half human and half jinn. Could Hazrat Sulayman Alaihissalam, who also had control over jinn and used them for his work, really marry a jinn? What do Islamic stories say about this? But this story does not begin with a queen. It begins with a small bird. Hudhud. Hudhud was a bird that understood people's words and brought news from faraway places. This small bird helped a queen who earlier used to worship the sun and guided her to Islam. That moment changed history. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel so that more such stories keep reaching you. If you are ready, let's start. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nazal Kasama Qur'anin Fem. We tell you, O Muhammad, the best stories that we have told you. The message has been sent in this Quran through the Prophet, peace be upon him, although you were unaware of it before this. Surah Yusuf, Ayah 3. The soldiers had gathered and were waiting for their leader, Hazrat Sulayman Alaihissalam. This was the most unique army in history. It included humans, jinn, birds, and other animals. Even the wind could carry Sulayman Alaihissalam wherever he wanted. The human army had infantry and horsemen. The army of Jinnet was invisible to human eye. This army was terrifying for the enemies, as many of its members could not even be seen. Some birds and animals were also a part of this army. Lions were the leaders of the animals, followed by tigers and others. The birds included eagles, shaheens, and Hudhud. Hudhud's responsibility was to spy. He would fly far and wide, gather intelligence on enemies, and inform the army. Meanwhile, it was noticed in the army that Hudhud was missing. Everyone started whispering among themselves, "The commander will arrive and see that Hudhud is gone." When Sulayman Alaihissalam arrived, he too noticed Hudhud's absence. Actually, Hudhud was in the land of Queen Sheba at that time. He had traveled a long distance and had a strong feeling that he was following an important lead. He landed on a tall tree above the city. From there he observed the streets, houses, palaces, and gates. Something felt strange. It seemed like people were gathering for a ceremony. He asked another Hudhud, who lived there, "O beautiful Hud, can you tell me what is happening here?" The other Hudhud replied, "People are going to meet the queen. They are going to perform a ceremony in which everyone will bow down to the sun." The spy bird of Sulayman Alaihissalam was now convinced that his suspicion was correct. He first saw the guards, then the commanders and soldiers, and finally the queen on her throne. She got down from her throne and led the people. She raised her hands and bowed down to the sun, and all the people bowed down with her. Hudhud saw all this and began wondering how Sulayman Alaihissalam would react to this news. He immediately flew back. After many days of tiring flight, he reached the place where the army was gathered. All the birds surrounded him. A small bird, angry, shouted, "Where were you?" "Our leader Sulayman, peace be upon him, asked about you. We hope you have a good excuse for your disappearance." Hudhud became even more worried and decided he must meet Hazrat Sulayman, peace be upon him, immediately. He flew, trembling, to Sulayman's tent while the Prophet was eating. Hudhud entered through the window and sat quietly on the edge of the table, trying to stay away from Sulayman's hands. His head was bowed in fear. He greeted him slowly and raised his head politely, but his eyes could only reach Sulayman's hands and chest. He was so embarrassed that he could not even look at his face. While speaking, he focused only on the Prophet's hands. He decided he should speak first. He had learned a lot from his leader, and he knew that the best way to win Sulayman's heart was to speak the truth plainly. "My lord, I am going to bring to you an important member of a community from a faraway land. I have brought news that you do not know about. I saw a woman from Sheba ruling over her community. She sits on a great throne and has everything that anyone could desire. But I saw her and her community prostrating to the sun instead of Allah. Satan made their deeds look good to them. These words were very effective. Hudhud was showing that the real reason for his being late was that he was on an important mission. Sulayman, peace be upon him, began to reply, "Of course we must check whether what you are saying is true or not. I will write a letter. You will take it and see how they respond." Hudhud took the sealed letter and quickly flew toward the court. When he reached there, he sat on a tree in the palace garden and looked for the queen's room. He saw a large room with a big balcony and understood that it must be hers. Taking the letter in his beak, he went inside through the open window and hid behind the ceiling decoration. He saw that the queen was sleeping on her bed. Her hair was spread across the pillow. Her face was very beautiful. Seeing her beauty, Hudhud felt sorry for her. Why should someone worship the sun despite so much beauty, wealth, and power? He thought about how Satan had misled them. Then he wondered, if the army of Sulayman fights with the community of Saba, what will be the result? It was clear, the queen was powerful, but she could not defeat the army of the Prophet. His soldiers would easily overpower her force. Hudhud thought, should I drop the letter now, or wait for her to wake up completely? He did not know what was written in the letter. While he was thinking, the letter suddenly slipped from his beak and fell onto the queen's bed. The queen opened her eyes and saw something unusual in front of her. She found the letter and immediately began looking around, but could not see anyone. Afraid, she quietly opened the letter and read it. This message is from Sulayman Alaihissalam. In the name of Allah, the most kind and merciful, I invite you to believe in one Allah. Do not be arrogant towards me. Come to me and bow your head. The queen became angry and again started looking around to see who had brought the letter. She called her guards and asked, "Who dared to come into my room? Who did this?" The guards were shocked. They said no one had entered. They had been guarding with their swords and sharp eyes. They swore no one had come near the queen's room. Meanwhile, the Hudhud bird was listening to everything, hidden in a small hole. Queen Bilqis screamed, "Then where did this letter come from?" She held up the letter in her hand and showed it to the guards. They tried to guess, but no one had seen who delivered it. Everyone was confused and speechless. Queen Bilqis immediately called an emergency meeting of her advisors. In the meeting, she said, "My advisors, I have received a very important letter. It is from Sulayman. He begins the letter in the name of Allah, the most kind and merciful, and says, 'Come to me without pride.' What do you think we should do?" One advisor said, "It means King Sulayman wants us to bow to him. This looks like a call to war. We should fight." Another said, "We are powerful. Let's show our strength and fight." Most advisors gave their opinions in favor of war, but one wise advisor suddenly asked, "Where is the messenger, the one who brought this letter? Only he can explain the real intention of Sulayman." Queen Bilqis replied that she didn't know. She had found the letter on her bed when she woke up. One advisor said, "That is concerning. I suggest we wait. If Sulayman can send a letter in such a strange and powerful way without a messenger, then imagine how powerful he might be in war." Then Queen Bilqis said, "When kings attack a country, they destroy everything and weaken the respected people. I fear the same may happen to us. My suggestion is that we send gifts and observe the response." No one opposed her, and her suggestion was accepted. The Hudhud bird had heard the entire conversation and flew away as soon as the meeting ended. It was announced in the Queen's kingdom that a grand gift would be prepared, made of gold and precious jewels, no matter the cost. It had to be luxurious. People warned the Queen that Sulayman was powerful and intimidating. Only a very valuable gift might please him. "Our future depends on his mercy," they said. The kingdom's artists began working day and night. They used the finest materials. Finally, the gift was ready. A golden plate with 2 wolves made of gold and jewels on the edges. When Queen Bilqis saw this beautiful and expensive gift, she was pleased. She ordered her messengers to prepare to deliver it to Sulayman. She also sent a commander from her army to gather more information about Sulayman's strength. She instructed, "Find out what Sulayman really wants from us, and how powerful his army is." Hazrat Sulayman, Alaihissalam, had already received news of the Queen's meeting through Hudhud. Hudhud had seen the convoy of messengers near the border and immediately informed Sulaiman. Sulaiman understood that the Queen was sending gifts to test his intentions and strength, so he ordered his army to prepare for the messengers' arrival. His soldiers stood in a long formation to welcome them, and he also sent officers to meet the messengers. Sulaiman had one clear intention: I want them to surrender before meeting me. The messengers of Queen Bilqis were shocked when they appeared before Sulaiman's army. They began counting the soldiers and observing the strange creatures among them. Their surprise turned to awe when they saw that Sulaiman's army did not only include humans, but also lions, tigers, elephants, birds, and other animals. Even more astonishing, the army could move through the air. Their eyes widened, their mouths dropped open. They had never seen anything like it. Magnificent and terrifying. They also noticed that some weapons moved on their own. Their fear grew. One of them asked nervously, "What is this?" The officer calmly replied, "This is just a small group of jinn soldiers doing their morning training." The messengers' curiosity about Sulaiman increased, but they were told that the Prophet would not meet them directly. Instead, one of his commanders would host them for lunch in the palace. When they looked around, they felt the gifts they brought now seemed small and ordinary. Still, they hesitantly handed over the gifts. The officer took the gifts to Sulaiman's room, but returned just a few minutes later, with the gifts still in hand. He placed them on the table and said, "Hazrat Sulaiman has refused to accept the gift." Then he conveyed Sulaiman's message, "Can you please me with wealth? What Allah has given me is far better than what you have. Take back your gifts. If I come with my army, I will show such power that you cannot imagine. I will humiliate you and drive you out of your city." The messengers were afraid. One of them asked, "What does Sulaiman want? Please tell us clearly, so we can report to our queen." The officer replied, "Sulaiman wants only one thing. Your queen and her people should submit and bow their heads before him." They understood. This message was both a call for peace and a clear warning. The messengers returned to Queen Bilqis with Sulaiman's message. When they arrived, the queen was asleep, but she had instructed her servants to wake her immediately if they returned. As soon as she opened her eyes, she asked, "Tell me, what did Sulaiman say when you gave him the gift?" They replied that they had not met Sulaiman. One of his commanders had accepted the gift, but returned it shortly after. Then they delivered Sulaiman's full message. Hearing it, the queen bowed her head and began to think, "Sulaiman neither accepted my gift, nor offered my messengers protection." He questioned them and learned everything they saw. The messengers described the terrifying strength of Sulaiman's army. When Queen Bilqis heard that Sulaiman's army included animals and jinn, she realized the gravity of the situation. If she chose to fight, she could lose everything. Now the only option left was to try and convince Sulaiman in some other way. She looked at the rejected gift and went into deep thought. What should she do now? Then she decided to gather her royal council and war advisors. Would the two great kingdoms go to war? The upcoming meeting was going to be very important. At that time, Hazrat Sulaiman Alaihissalam was also holding a meeting in his city. His council included ministers, commanders, war experts, and scholars. 2 lions stood guard at the doors. The bird Hudhud was also present, ready to give his report. Sulaiman, as began the meeting, "I thank Allah, who has given us so much wealth and power." Although he was angry inside, he did not show it outwardly. "How can it be," he asked, "that people still worship the sun, while we are alive, under the flag of Tawheed?" Sulaiman, as was not ruling for his own glory, but for the kingdom of Allah, so he felt both anger and responsibility. Then the army commander took his sword and said, "Just give the order. I will destroy the throne of Queen Sheba and her people who deny Allah." But Sulaiman, as replied, "I do not like violence. We should find another way. I still hope the queen will come to meet me." Then he asked, "Who among you can bring me her throne before she arrives?" A jinn said, "I can bring it before you rise from your seat. You know my power." But then a scholar, one who had been given special knowledge by Alaihissalam, said, "I can bring it to you before you blink an eye." As soon as Sulaiman has accepted his offer, the throne of Queen Bilqis suddenly appeared in front of them. It was like teleportation, something humans had never seen before. Everyone was amazed. The throne was large and magnificent. Hudhud was also there, trying to understand what had just happened. Back in the city of Saba, both the royal and war councils had gathered. Queen Bilqis chaired the meeting. Everyone looked pale and anxious. The queen spoke in a tired voice. "Today we are facing a very difficult situation. Sulayman wants us to bow to him. He is threatening to wipe out our kingdom. I need your advice." The advisors agreed. Perhaps if the queen herself went to meet Sulayman with even more valuable gifts, peace might be possible. But they also warned, if he rejects these gifts again, then war will be inevitable, and it could erase us from history. Everyone saw Queen Bilqis as their last hope, and so she decided to take the risk and go to Sulayman's palace herself. Preparations began. Even more beautiful and expensive gifts were prepared. Hazrat Sulayman knew that the queen had misconceptions about power and progress. She was proud of her kingdom's technology, industry, and glory. But Sulayman wanted to teach her an important truth. Real greatness and true progress come only under the flag of Tawheed, the oneness of Allah. If you lose the world but find Allah, then you have won. But if you gain the world and lose Allah, what have you truly gained? Sulayman, as was a wise prophet, he not only ordered the throne to be brought, but also ordered its design to be changed. When he saw the sun symbol on the throne, he said, "How foolish it is to worship the sun. Even if it were made of gold, bowing to it is dishonest." He instructed that parts of the throne be redesigned. Meanwhile, Queen Bilqis was finishing her preparations. She ordered a grand convoy to be prepared for the journey. On the other side, Sulayman summoned the best architect of his kingdom. "Do you know why I've called you?" Sulayman asked. "I want to build a palace on water, something that looks like it's floating. The entrance floor must be transparent, so that when someone looks down, they only see water." The architect replied, "Shall I use pure glass for the floor, so that the water below can be seen clearly?" Sulayman said, "Yes, exactly that. And what about the roof and walls?" The architect asked, "What do you suggest?" Sulayman replied, "The architect proposed, let the roof also be of glass, so sunlight will shine on the water and create a beautiful view. The walls should be made of glass as well." Sulayman liked this idea and ordered the construction to begin immediately. The jinns were assigned the task, and the magnificent building quickly began to rise over the water. As Queen Bilqis approached Sulayman's land, Hudhud was waiting for her at the border with an officer. Along the way, the queen saw strange and wondrous things, exactly as her messengers had described. This land was full of miracles and marvels. The closer she came to the palace, the more astonished she became. She saw part of Sulayman's powerful army, the most frightening and extraordinary force she had ever witnessed. Her fear increased. Her heart pounded. It became difficult to breathe. This power did not seem human. There was definitely some divine force behind it. Seeing everything, she was shaken. She began to doubt the greatness of her own kingdom. Her pride and arrogance began to break down. Her fear turned into reverence. Very soon she reached the magnificent palace that Sulayman had ordered built. She had never seen anything like it before. The kingdom was not just built on wealth, but also beauty, spirituality, and divine order. There were golden pillars at every corner, doors decorated with precious stones, and handmade artifacts that dazzled the eyes. But the most impressive part was the entrance floor, made of clear glass with flowing water beneath. It looked like a deep pond. As Queen Bilqis walked toward the palace, she thought it was water, so she lifted her clothes to avoid getting wet, and in that moment, her feet became visible. Now we come to the most mysterious part of the story. According to ancient sources, Sulayman had the glass floor built not just for beauty, but also as a test. As a prophet who had control over jinn, Sulayman had received divine information that Balqis might not be fully human. There were whispers that she was half human, half jinn. Sulayman knew the nature of jinn very well. He also knew that jinn often have hair on their feet, so he ordered the glass floor to see if Balqis would lift her clothes to avoid the water. thus revealing her feet and confirming the rumors. Some religious and cultural stories say that Balqees was born from the union of a human and a jinn. According to one version, her mother was a human queen, and her father was an ifrit, a powerful jinn. Therefore, Balqees had human beauty, as well as some jinn-like physical characteristics. The Quran does not clearly state whether Balqees was a human or not. Similarly, the Ethiopian texts do not describe her as the child of a jinn. Rather, they portray her as a wise and spiritual human queen. These stories focus more on her intelligence and purity, not her physical features. What do Islamic sources say? Most Islamic scholars believe that Queen Bilqis was a human being. The rumor of her being half jinn was actually spread by the jinns themselves. Why? Because they feared that if Sulaiman married her and had a son, that son would also rule as a prophet king, and would continue to command the jinn, just as his father did. The jinn served Sulaiman out of compulsion, and they wanted their freedom after his death. But if his lineage continued, their servitude would also continue. And as we know, most jinns are liars, not only in the time of Sulaiman but in every time. Sulaiman was aware of this. That is why he made a careful arrangement to verify the truth for himself. When Queen Bilqis walked on the glass floor, Sulaiman looked at her feet. He saw that they were just like those of a normal human being. His doubts were dispelled. Then he showed her the throne. He asked, "Is this your throne?" Balqis looked carefully. She was speechless. It looked exactly like her throne, but something about it had changed. Finally, she said, "It is very similar." Sulaiman had placed a message under the throne. "We are among those who bow before Allah." As she examined it further, she realized this was indeed her throne. It had somehow arrived here before her and had even been altered. This was another sign of the divine power granted to Sulaiman The queen became lost in thought. The more she reflected, the more she realized how weak and misguided her people's beliefs were compared to the wisdom and truth of Sulaiman That day she was invited for lunch. Sulaiman sat beside her and began to share his thought. He spoke about Allah, the Lord of all worlds, the most merciful, the most exalted, the one who created the sun to serve mankind. Just as butterflies and lilies in the garden serve Allah, he said, so does the sun. It is a creation, not a creator. It is an insult to human intelligence to bow before something that was made to serve you. Balqis now understood. The sun they used to worship was nothing more than a beautiful deception of the devil. For the first time, the light of the sun faded in her heart, and a new light arose within her, a light that never sets. Just then her advisors came and said, "The sun is about to set. It's time for our evening prayer." But the queen stood up and said, "You fools, do you still believe the sun is worthy of worship? The devil made our false belief look good. Get away from me if you won't listen to the words of Sulaiman The advisors were shocked and fled in fear. For the first time, Queen Bilqis felt something warm and pure in her heart, as if the colors of the rainbow had descended into her soul. She realized she had deceived herself all along. With deep emotion, she accepted Islam. She became a Muslim, and soon after, the people of Sabah followed her example. They stopped worshipping the sun and began to bow only to Allah. And all of this began with the feeling and voice of a small bird, Hudhud, who stayed back to observe, even when the rest of the birds had flown ahead. This incredible story, narrated in the Holy Qur'an, teaches us many things: the importance of knowledge, respect for true scholars, and that real knowledge is a gift from Allah, for which we must always be grateful. If this story touched your heart, if it helped you reflect on the importance of faith, wisdom, and monotheism, then please share it with your friends and family. Like, comment, and subscribe to our channel so we can continue bringing you more such inspirational stories. Your one small action can change someone else's life.